Hey Knights, so this is chapter 9 and 10. So chapter 9, The Girl in the Fireplace. Here we go, the doctor said after the TARDIS materialized. Celine grinned as she looked outside. It's a spaceship. Brilliant. She looked around some more as she exited. I got a spaceship on my first go. It looks kind of abandoned, Jessie noted, looking at the doctor. Anyone on board? Nah, nothing here, he replied. Jessie raised an eyebrow, and he corrected himself. Well, nothing dangerous. Jessie gave him a pointed look, and he made a face. Well, not that dangerous. By now, both girls were looking at him, and he held up his sonic screwdriver. You know what? I'll just have a quick scan just in case anything's dangerous. Yeah, good call, Jessie snorted, folding her arms. So what's the date? Where have we gone? About 3,000 years into your future, give or take. He flicked a switch on, and the ceiling lit up, showing the stars. 51st century, Diagamar cluster. He smiled at Celine. You're a long way from home, Celine. 2.5 galaxies. Celine Harper, meet the universe, Jessie joked as her friend looked around in amazement. See anything you like? It's incredible, she breathed. It's so realistic. The doctor looked down another corridor. Dear me, had some cowboys in here, he commented. Jessie wrinkled her nose when she saw parts scattered all over the place. Got a ton of repair work going on. Now that's odd. He appeared at a control panel, looking at reports. Look at that! All the warp engines are going, full capacity. There's enough power running through this ship to punch a hole in the universe. But we're not moving, so where's all the power going? Where'd all the crew go? Jessie asked as they continued through the ship. Good question. The doctor checked his screwdriver. No life forms on board. Well, we're in deep space, Jessie noted. They didn't just nip out for a quick fag. No, I've checked out all the smoking pods, the doctor agreed. He looked up and sniffed. Can you smell that? Jessie inhaled and nodded. Yeah, someone's cooking. Sunday's roast, definitely, Celine agreed. The doctor pressed a button on the panel, and the door behind them opened. Jessie raised an eyebrow when she saw the French-style fireplace on the wall. Well, there's something you don't see in your average spaceship, the doctor commented, walking up to it. 18th century, French, nice mantle, not a hologram. It's not even a reproduction. This is actually an 18th century French fireplace, double-sided. There's another room through there. Jessie looked out of the porthole in the same wall. Can't be, she said. That's the other hull of the ship. Look. Hello? Jessie went back to see the doctor crouched by the fireplace, talking to a young girl in a nightgown on the other side of the fireplace. Hello, she replied. What's your name? The doctor asked. Renette. Renette, the doctor tried. That's a lovely name. Can you tell me where you are at the moment, Renette? In my bedroom. And where's your bedroom? Where do you live, Renette? Paris, of course. Paris, he nodded quickly. Right. She tilted her head. Major, what are you doing in my fireplace? Oh, it's just a routine fire check, he replied, waving his hand. Can you tell me what year it is? Of course I can, she replied promptly. 1727. Right, lovely. One of my favorites. He made a face. August is rubbish, though. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for your help. Hope you enjoy the rest of the fire. Night-night. Good night, Mazur. The doctor stood up, turning to face the girls. You said this was the 51st century, Celine told him. He nodded. I also said this ship was generating enough power to punch a hole in the universe. I think we just found the hole. Might be a spatio-temporal hyperlink. Jessie snorted, putting a hand over her mouth. What the hell is a spatio-temporal hyperlink? Celine spoke what was on her mind. What's that? The doctor grinned. No idea. Just made it up. Didn't want to say magic door. Jessie rolled her eyes. And on the other side of the magic door is France in 1727. Well, she was speaking French, the doctor replied, looking around on the mantel. Right period French, too. Celine stared at him. She was speaking English. I heard her. That'll be the TARDIS, like from the Cyclops invasion, Jessie explained. Translates for you. Even French? Celine asked. Yeah. Gotcha, the doctor exclaimed. The sound of something rotating got Jessie's attention, and she turned just in time to call the doctor's name before the entire fireplace rotated around, taking the doctor with it. The doctor looked around the bedroom to see snow falling outside. There was shifting on the bed, and the doctor held up his hand as Renette woke up, staring at him in surprise. It's okay, he told her. Don't scream. It's me. It's the fireplace man. Look. We were just talking a minute ago. I was in your fireplace. As he lit a candle with a screwdriver, Renette looked at him. Mazur, that was a week ago, she said slowly. That was months. The doctor blinked. Really? He looked back at the fireplace. Oh, must be a loose connection. Need to get a man in. He tilted his head, listening. Nice clock ticking. Who are you? Renette asked as the doctor looked at the clock on the mantel. His eyes widened as he realized something was wrong. What are you doing here? Okay, he said slowly. That's scary. You're scared of a broken clock? The doctor nodded, hearing the ticking get louder. Just a bit scared, yeah. Just a little teeny bit, because, you see, if this clock's broken, he pointed at the said object, and it's the only clock in the room, then what's that? He nodded as the ticking kept going, getting louder. Because, you see, that's not a clock. You can tell by the resonance. Too big. 6 feet, I'd say. He narrowed his eyes. The size of a man. What is it? Renette asked. Now let's think, the doctor said, going into brainstorming mode and pacing. If you were a thing that ticked, and you were hiding in someone's room, break the clock. No one notices the sound of one clock ticking. But 2? You might start to wonder if you're really alone. He dropped to the floor, and Renette moved to get with him, but the doctor held up a hand to stop her. Stay on the bed, right in the middle. Don't you put your hands or feet over the edge. Renette nodded and scooted to where he said, and the doctor looked under the bed, waving the screwdriver around. Something knocked it out of his hand, and he quickly popped back up. Renette, he whispered, looking at the thing that had risen behind her. Don't look round. He pointed to the finger in a smiley face mask behind her. You stay exactly where you are. He looked back down at Renette. Hold still, he told her. Let me look. He placed his hands on either side of her head and looked into her eyes, scanning her mind. He frowned. You've been scanning her brain, he told the figure. What, you've crossed 2 galaxies in 1,000 years just to scan a child's brain. What could there be in a little girl's mind worth blowing a hole in the universe? I don't understand, Renette whispered. It wants me? She looked at the figure, sucking in her breath when she saw it. You want me? Not yet, it replied in a robotic voice. You are incomplete. Incomplete, the doctor repeated, standing up. What's that mean, incomplete? You can answer her. You can answer me. What do you mean, incomplete? Monsieur, be careful, Renette warned as the droid began coming around the other side of the bed, a blade popping out of its hand. Just a nightmare, Renette, the doctor replied. Don't worry about it. Everyone has nightmares. He ducked a swing from the droid. Even monsters under the bed have nightmares. Don't you, monster? He kept backing up, and then the next swing came. It embedded into the mantelpiece. What do monsters have nightmares about? Renette questioned. The doctor found the switch to rotate the fireplace and grinned as it began to swing around. Me! Jessie turned when the fireplace began to spin again. Doctor! She backed away when she saw the figure that had ridden with him. Creepy smiley face mask guy, Celine gasped. The doctor grabbed a tube from the rack and sprayed the contents of it over the figure, which froze up. Celine tilted her head. Sweet! Ice gun. Fire extinguisher, the doctor corrected. Where did that thing come from? Jessie asked, peering at the droid. Here, the doctor replied easily. Celine picked at the wig the droid was wearing. Why is it dressed like this, then? Field trip to France, some kind of basic camouflage protocol. Nice needlework. Shame about the face. He pulled the mask off, and Jessie blinked when she saw the machinery inside. Is that clockwork? She asked. Oh, you are beautiful, the doctor gasped, looking at it. No, really, you are. You're gorgeous. Look at that. He grinned at the 2 girls. Space-age clockwork. I love it. I've got chills. Jessie pinched the bridge of her nose as the doctor continued to talk. He never shuts up. Listen, seriously, I mean, this from the heart, and by the way, count those, it would be a crime. It would be an act of vandalism to disassemble you, but that won't stop me. Jessie jumped when the droid was beamed away. Short-range teleport, the doctor deduced, looking around. Can't have gone far. Could still be on board. What is it? Jessie asked. Don't go looking for it. Where are you going? Back in a sec. Jessie groaned as the doctor swung back around on the fireplace. She looked down at the fire extinguisher, then kicked it up. He said not to look for it, Celine told her. Jessie raised an eyebrow. Yeah, he did. And since when did we ever follow instructions when we were in school? Celine laughed and got another fire extinguisher, just like the old days. Now you're getting it, Jessie encouraged as they went off to the ship to explore some more. The doctor looked around the bedchamber he'd just gone into appraisingly, then called out for Renette. Renette, he looked around. Just checking you're okay. He peered at the harp by the window and plucked a few strings. Ahem. The doctor jumped up, looking at the window who had just come in, dressed in a dress of the century. Her hair piled on top of her head. Oh, he stepped away from the harp. Hello, I was just looking for Renette. This is still her room, isn't it? I've been away, not sure how long. Renette, someone called from outside, and the doctor's eyes widened in understanding, and he mouthed, Oh. We're ready to go. Go to the carriage, Mother, the woman called back. I will join you there. She turned back to the doctor with a smile. It is customary, I think, to have an imaginary friend only during one's childhood. You are to be congratulated on your persistence. Renette, he sputtered in shock, looking her over. Well, goodness, you've grown. And you do not appear to have aged a single day, she tutted, walking forward. That is tremendously impolite of you. Right, yes, sorry. Listen, lovely to catch up, but better be off, eh? He began backing away as she kept coming closer. Don't want your mother finding you up here with a strange man, do we? Strange? Renette asked, tilting her head. How could you be a stranger to me? I've known you since I was 7 years old. The doctor shrugged. Yeah, I suppose you have. I came the quick route. Renette put a hand on his arm. You seem to be flesh and blood at any rate, but this is absurd. She shook her head. Reason tells me you cannot be real. Oh, you never want to listen to reason. Mademoiselle, another person shouted. Your mother grows impatient. A moment, Renette called back, then turned back to him. So many questions, so little time. The doctor's brain short-circuited. Renette kissed him hard, pushing him back into the wall. His head caught up with him, and he began to kiss her back when the servant shouted again. Mademoiselle Pazon. Renette pulled back and ran out. The doctor blinked. Pazon? Pazon? He asked out loud, blinking some more. Renette Pazon. No way. No way. He began to grin, heading back to the fireplace. Renette Pazon. Later, Madame Estelle. Later still, mistress of Louise the Fifth, I think? The Roman numerals XV. Can't remember. No, 5 is V. 15th? I don't. I think it's the 15th. Uncrowned Queen of France. He grinned as one of the servants came in, staring at him in shock. Actress, artist, musician, dancer, courtesan, fantastic gardener. Who the hell are you? The servant sputtered. The doctor flicked the man to the fireplace and grinned. I'm the doctor, and I just dogged Madame de Pompadour. Are you looking at me? Jessie rolled his eyes as Celine asked from behind her. Hey, Jessie, look at this. Jessie turned to rejoin her, and she froze when she saw Celine was examining a camera that had an eyeball in it. There's an eye in there. It's a real eye. Jessie began looking around. If there's an eye, maybe there's something else. She opened a hatch, looking among a mess of wires and pipes, and in the middle of all of it, she slammed a hand over her mouth as she felt bile rise up in her throat. Oh my God, Celine whispered, joining her. Please tell me that's not what I think it is. I think it is, Jessie whispered. It's a heart. It's a human heart. Jessie! Celine! The doctor shouted, looking around the fireplace room. He grumbled, walking back out onto the ship. Every time he muttered, It's Rule 1. Don't wander off. I tell them, I do. Rule 1. There could be anything on this ship. There was a whining behind him, and the doctor turned, pinching the bridge of his nose when he saw it was approaching, including a horse. He kept walking through the ship. Jessie! He kept calling, then turned, folding his arms when the horse kept following him. Will you stop following me? I'm not your mother. He raised an eyebrow when he found white wooden doors, and when he opened them, he blinked against the sudden white light. So, this is where you're from, eh, horsey? He walked out into a garden in Versailles, and he quickly ducked behind a stone urn when he saw Renette and a friend of hers begin to walk through. Oh, Catherine, you are too wicked, Renette was saying. Oh, speaking of wicked, Catherine said, I hear Madame de Chateaurex is ill and close to death. Yes, I am devastated, Renette said sarcastically. Oh, indeed, Catherine agreed, just as sarcastically. I am frequently inconsolable. The king will therefore be requiring a new mistress. You love the king, of course. He is the king, and I love him with all my heart, Renette agreed, and I look forward to meeting him. The doctor ducked down when a peacock called behind him, and Renette turned to look. Is something wrong, my dear? Catherine asked. Not wrong, no, Renette replied. Every woman in Paris knows your ambitions. Every woman in Paris shares them, Renette pointed out. You know, of course, that the king is attending the yew tree ball, as am I. The doctor grinned as the two women moved out of earshot. You go, Renette, he whispered. Is this a normal life for you? Celine asked as they ran through the ship. This is the average day? Life with the doctor has no average days, Celine, Jessie replied. They skidded to a halt by a rather large window, and Celine raised an eyebrow. It's France again. We can see France. Jessie looked at it closer. I think we're looking through a mirror. Jessie started as a man from 18th century France walked in, followed by 2 guards. Look at the guy. Who does he think he is? The king of France. Jessie raised an eyebrow at the doctor as he joined them. Oh, he's trouble, she commented. What you been up to? Oh, this and that, he replied absently, looking at the king. Became the imaginary friends of a future French aristocrat. Picked a fight with a clockwork man. There was an A behind them, and the doctor nodded. Oh, and I met a horse. Celine blinked as she took in the horse following the doctor. What's the horse doing on a spaceship? Celine, what's a pre-revolutionary France doing on a spaceship? The doctor asked. Get a little perspective. He waved to the mirror. See, they're all over the place, on every deck. Gateways to history. But not just any old history. He nodded to the woman that had just entered and curtsied to the king. Hers. Time windows deliberately arranged along the life of one peculiar woman. A spaceship from the 51st century stalking a woman from the 18th. Why? Who is she? Jessie asked. Janine Annette Poisson, the doctor replied, known to her friends as Renette, one of the most accomplished women who ever lived. So, has she got plans of being the queen, then? No, he's already got a queen. She's got plans of being his mistress. She nodded. Oh, I get it. Camellia. I think this is when they met, night of the yew tree ball. In no time flat, she'll get herself established as his official mistress with her own rooms at the palace. Even her own title, Madame de Pompadour. The queen must have loved her, Jessie said sarcastically as Louis XV left. Oh, she did. They got on very well. Jessie blinked. The king's wife and the king's girlfriend? Celine asked, just to clarify. The doctor shrugged. France, it's a different planet. Renette turned from the mirror to a woman in the corner, her back to the mirror. How long have you been standing there? She asked. Show yourself. The figure turned, and Jessie's eyes widened when she saw that it was a clockwork droid. The doctor instantly grabbed another fire extinguisher and rotated the mirror. Hello, Renette, he said brightly as the three of them walked through. Hasn't time flown? Fireplace man, she gasped in recognition. The doctor raised the fire extinguisher, but Celine simply raised her hand. Ice flew from her palm and coated the droid. The doctor looked at her in respect. Nice shot, Celine. Thanks, boss. The droid began to creak, and Celine frowned, tilting her head. What's it doing? Switching back on, the doctor replied, stepping in front of the girls as the droid began to melt the ice. Melting the ice. And then what? Then it kills everyone in the room. Lovely, Jessie thought sarcastically. Focus is the mind, doesn't it? He looked at the droid. Who are you? Identify yourself. When it didn't answer, he turned to Renette. Order it to answer me. Who should it listen to me? Renette asked in surprise. I don't know. It did when you were a child. Let's see if you still got it. Renette stared at him, then took a deep breath and turned to the clockwork droid. Answer his question, she ordered in a firm voice. Answer any and all questions put to you. The droid finally answered. I am Repair Droid 7. What happened to the ship, then? The doctor asked. There was a lot of damage. Ion storm, 82% system failure. Jessie whistled. That's a lot. That ship hasn't moved in over a year, the doctor said. What's taking you so long? We did not have the parts, the clockwork droid replied. Always comes down to that, Celine grumbled. The parts? What happened to the crew? The doctor asked. Where are they? We did not have the parts, the clockwork droid repeated. There should have been over 50 people on your ship. Where did they go? We did not have the parts. 50 people just don't disappear. Where? He cut off and his eyes widened in recognition. Oh, you didn't have the parts, so you used the crew. Jessie gasped, realization hitting her. The camera with the eye in it, the heart in the machinery. It was just doing what it was programmed to do, the doctor commented. Repairing the ship any way it can with whatever it could find. No one told it the crew weren't on the menu. He looked at the two girls. What did you say the flight deck smelt of? Jessie put a hand over her mouth, feeling more bile come up her throat. Someone cooking, Celine answered for her, her eyes darkening. Flesh put heat plus heat, the doctor wrinkled his nose. Barbecue. He turned to the droid. But what are you doing here? You've opened up time windows. That takes colossal energy. Why come here? You could have gone to your repair yard. Instead, you come to the 18th century France. Why? One more part is required, it replied. Then why haven't you taken it? She is incomplete. What? So that's the plan then. Just keep opening up more and more time windows, scanning her brain, checking to see if she's done yet. Why her? Jessie asked. You've got all the history to choose from. Why specifically her? We are the same, the droid replied. Renette glared at it. We are not the same. We are in no sense the same. We are the same, it insisted. Renette shook her head. Get out of here. Get out of here this instant. Renette, no, the doctor told her. Jessie growled when the droid teleported out. The doctor turned to her. Jessie, take Celine and Arthur. Go after it. Follow it. Don't approach it. Just watch what it does. Jessie blinked. Arthur? Good name for a horse. Clockwork droids want Madame de Pompadour's brain, and he's thinking of a horse's name. She shook her head. No, you're not keeping the horse. I let you keep Celine, he protested. Now go, go, go. She went through the mirror and shut it behind them. Celine chuckled. So, that doctor, eh? What now? She asked. Madame de Pompadour, Sarah Jane Smith, Celine laughed. Cleopatra. He mentioned her once, Jessie grumbled. Yeah, but he called her Cleo. He has quite the habit for... Celine! Jessie gasped when she saw what was looming up behind her friend. Celine turned, but the clockwork droid grabbed her by the throat. Before Jessie could say anything, she was grabbed onto as well. She felt something stab into her arm, and she had enough time to think that she was doomed before she slipped unconscious. Renette watched the mirror swing back, then turned to the fireplace man. as the fireplace man turned to her. "Renette, you're going to have to trust me," he told her. "I need to find out what they're looking for. There's only one way I can do that. It won't hurt a bit." She nodded, then blinked when he placed his hands on her temples, and she felt something in her mind, then realized what it was. "Fireplace man, you are inside my mind." "Oh, dear Renette," he murmured, "you have had some cowboys in here." Renette felt him go through her mind, then furrowed her eyebrows when she realized she could find his as well. "You are inside my memories. You walk among them." "If there's anything you don't want me to see, just imagine a door and close it," he told her. She found a memory of his and finally found his name. Doctor. "Oh, actually, there's a door just there. You might want to close." Renette slowly smiled when she realized what he had seen and decided to open more. "Oh, actually, several. To walk among the memories of another living soul," she whispered. "Do you ever get used to this?" "I don't make a habit of it." "How can you resist?" She closed off the door as she began to think as she looked through his mind as well. "Interesting. So many faces, but I only recognize 3. His and his 2 friends. What age are you?" She couldn't help but smile. So impertinent a question so early in the conversation. How promising. "No, not my question. Theirs. You're 23, and for some reason that means you're not old enough. Sorry, you might find old memories reawakening. Side effect." And she found something interesting. She inhaled sharply as she found his memories of when he was younger. And all alone. "Oh, such a lonely childhood," she whispered in shock. "It'll pass. Stay with me." Renette swallowed. "Oh, doctor, so lonely, so very, very alone." "What do you mean, alone?" the doctor asked in surprise. "You've never been alone in your life." He paused again, and she felt his hands tense from where they were on her head. "When did you start calling me doctor?" Renette swallowed, feeling something on the edge of his mind, directed to someone she had seen. Not her, but a face she had just seen. Something he was afraid to admit, because he was afraid she would leave. "Such a lonely little boy," she whispered. "Lonely then and lonelier now, even with such a woman beside you." His hands dropped, and she opened her eyes to see him looking at her in shock. "How did you do that?" he demanded. "A door once opened can be stepped through in either direction," Renette replied simply with a smile. "Oh, doctor, no matter who they are, men are thick." "I'm sorry?" he asked, blinking. "The girl of yours, the woman whose names speak of death. Tell her what she needs to know," she smiled. "But if not, my lonely doctor, dance with me." "I can't." "Dance with me." "She is the night you dance with the king. This is the night you dance with the king." Renette smiled. "Then first I shall make him jealous, and perhaps you will make your—" She remembered her name and smiled. It was a beautiful name. "Jessie, jealous as well." "I can't," he whispered again, but it was fainter. "Doctor. Doctor who? It's more than just a secret, is it?" "What did you see?" he asked. "There comes a time, Time Lord, when every lovely little boy must learn how to dance," Renette replied, smiling and holding out her hand. "Dance with me, and then dance with your Jessie." She was silently pleased when he took her hand cautiously. She was also pleased when he didn't correct her when she said Jessie's name possessively to him. "I really need to stop clocking out," Jessie muttered as she woke up, then yelled when she saw several clockwork men around her. "What's going on?" she shouted. "Doctor?" "Jessie!" Celine called from somewhere off to her side. She turned her body as much as she could when she was spread-eagled to see her friend in a similar state, except that her skin was glittering with ice crystals. "They're going to chop us up, just like the crew. They're going to chop us up and stick us all over their stupid spaceship. And where's the doctor? Odin knows where. He's been gone for freaking hours." "You are compatible," one clockwork droid announced to her. "Well, you might want to think about that," Jessie stuttered. "You really, really might, because me and Celine, we didn't come here alone. Oh no, and trust me, you wouldn't want to mess with our designated driver." She squeaked when a blade with a spinning cogwheel at the end of it extended from the droid's arm. "Ever heard of the Daleks?" she asked, wincing a little. "Remember them? They had a name for our friend. They had myths about him, and a name. They called him the—" The doctor waltzed in at that moment, as if Jessie knew the Time Lords couldn't get... And if Jessie knew that Time Lords couldn't get drunk, or at least the Ninth Doctor couldn't, Jack had tried once, she'd think they were in trouble. "And still have begged for me," he said, his voice wobbly. "Damn, he's a good false drunk." "I could have spread my wings and done He grinned stupidly. "Have you met the French? My God, they know how to party." "Oh, and look what the cat dragged in," Celine commented sarcastically. "The oncoming storm," Jessie agreed, grinning nonetheless. "Oh, and you sound like Sunny," the doctor slurred. Jessie would have snickered if they weren't trying to keep up the doctor's drunk doc. "What have you been doing?" she asked, pretending to be pissed off at him and playing along. "Where have you been?" "Well, among other things, I think I just invented the banana de query a few centuries early. Jessie started as he grinned. Do you know they've never seen a banana before? He pointed at her. Always take a banana to a party, Jess. Bananas are good. He turned to the clockwork man with his tools, ready to cut her open. Oh, ho, 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 brilliant, it's you. You're my favorite, you are. You're the best. Do you know why? He grinned wider. Because you're so thick. You're Mr. Thickety Thick Face from Thicktown Thickania. Celine threw Jessie an incredulous look, and she tried not to burst out laughing. And so's your dad, the doctor continued, then smiled at the two girls. Do you know what they were scanning Renette's brain for? Her mellometer. They want to know how old she is. Know why? Enlighten us, Celine said sarcastically. Because this ship is 37-year-old, and they think that when Renette is 37, when she's complete, then her brain will be compatible. He grinned triumphantly at the clockwork man. So, that's what you're missing, isn't it? Command circuit, your computer. Your ship needs a brain, and for some reason, God knows what, only the brain of Madame de Pompadour will do. The brain is compatible, the clockwork man droned. The doctor quirked an eyebrow. Compatible? If you believe that, he raised the goblet. You probably believe that this is just a glass of wine. Jessie finally laughed as the doctor took off the clockwork man's mask and poured whatever it is in the goblet into his head. The clockwork seized up, and the doctor grinned triumphantly. Multi-grain anti-oil. If it moves, it doesn't. He flicked a switch on the console nearby that turned the droids off, then pulled out his sonic screwdriver. Right, you two, that's enough lying about. Time we got the rest of the ship turned off. Are those things safe? Celine asked as the doctor freed her. Yeah, safe and thick. The way I like them, he agreed, helping Jessie out. Okay, all the time windows are controlled from here. I need to close them all down. He began looking around. Zeus plugs, he muttered. Where are my Zeus plugs? I had them a minute ago. I was using them as castanets. Castanets? Celine asked incredulously. Why didn't they just open a time window to when she was 37? Jessie asked. The doctor shook his head. With the amount of damage to these circuits, they did as well to hit the right century. Trial and error after that. The windows aren't closing. Why won't they close? He asked in frustration. A bell went off, and Jessie looked around for the source. What's that? I don't know, the doctor replied, tilting his head thoughtfully. He does that a lot in this body, too, she thought. Incoming message? From who? Celine asked. Report from the field, the doctor guessed. One of them must be still out there with Renette. That's why I can't close the windows. There's an override. There was a spitting noise, and Jessie turned when the clockwork turned back on to see the anti-oil on the ground through the first clockwork man's finger. The doctor blinked, looking back as well. Well, that was a bit clever. The switch on the console moved back as the clockwork men became activated again. Right, many things about this are not good, he decided, turning to the clockwork men. Message from one of your little friends. Anything interesting? She is complete. It begins. The doctor turned back as the clockwork men beamed out. What happened? Jessie asked. One of them must have found the right time window, the doctor guessed. Now it's time to send in the troops. And this time, they're bringing back her head. Renette sat in the music room of the palace, plucking strings on her harp, when she heard footsteps. She turned to see the dark-haired woman the doctor had with him when the clockwork droid had tried to come after her entered. Renette inhaled sharply when she recognized her as the woman the doctor loved so desperately, yet was extremely afraid to admit it. Jessie smiled, holding up her hands. Madame de Pompadour, she greeted her with a short bow, which Renette was surprised by. She hadn't expected this woman to be familiar with royal gestures. Please, don't scream or anything. We haven't got a lot of time. She sat down across from Renette, hands clasped, one leg over the other. I've come to warn you that they'll be here in 5 years. 5 years, Renette echoed. Sometime after your 37th birthday, Jessie confirmed. She scratched her head. I can't give you an exact date. It's a bit random, but they're coming. It's going to happen. In a way, for us, it's already happening, she sighed. I'm sorry, it's hard to explain. The doctor does this better. Renette nodded. Then be exact, and I will be attentive. There isn't time. There are 5 years. For you, I haven't even got 5 minutes. Then also be concise. Something like admiration flashed in Jessie's eyes, and she nodded. There's, say, a vessel, a ship, a sort of sky ship, and it's full of, she sighed, well, different bits of your life in different rooms, all jumbled up, she shrugged apologetically. I told you, it was complicated, sorry. Renette stared at her in shock. There is a vessel in your world where the days of my life are pressed together like the chapters of a book, so that he may step from one to the other without increase of age, while I, weary traveler, must always take the slower path. Jessie raised an eyebrow. He was right about you. Renette swallowed. So in 5 years, these creatures will return. What can be done? The doctor says to keep them talking, Jessie replied. They're kind of programmed to respond to you now. You won't be able to stop them, but you might be able to delay them a bit. Until, Renette asked curiously, until the doctor can get there. Renette sat up straighter, pleased to hear that he was still coming back. He's coming, then. He promises, Jessie confirmed. She raised an eyebrow. But he cannot make his promise in person? He'll be there when you need him, Renette. Renette nodded the way her eyes flashed in a different way at that, and smiled softly. She feels the same. That's the way it's got to be. It's the way it's always been. The monsters and the doctor. It seems you cannot have one without the other. Tell me about it, Jessie chuckled, but then she sobered. The thing is, you aren't supposed to have either. I think I know that now, Renette thought. Those creatures are messing with history. None of this was ever supposed to happen to you. At that, Renette narrowed her eyes. Supposed to happen? She echoed, standing at the same time Jessie did. What does that mean? It happened, child, and I would not have it any other way. Jessie jerked backward as if stung, and Renette lowered her voice. One may tolerate a world of demons for the sake of an angel. And sometimes, Jessie whispered, it's worth getting your heart broken for. Renette smiled and took the girl's hands. But what if it's not mine the doctor truly seeks? She asked. Jessie's eyes widened, but the redhead's voice then echoed distantly. Jessie? She called. Jessie? Renette followed Jessie out into the corridor as the redhead, Celine, Renette remembered, from when she had briefly seen the doctor's mind, poked her head out from behind a tapestry. Jessie, she said cheerfully. The time window's where she's 37. We found it, right under our noses. Renette took a deep breath, then ducked under the tapestry. No! Jessie called to her as she found herself in a completely unfamiliar place. You can't go in there. The doctor would go mad. So this is his world, Renette whispered, looking around. Her head jerked up when she heard screams far off. What was that? The time window, Celine explained. The doctor fixed an audio link. Those screams, Renette turned to the two of them. Is that my future? Jessie nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm sorry. Renette nodded as well. Then I must take the slower path. She looked around when she heard her voice, a few years older, start calling. Are you there? Can you hear me? I need you now. You promised. The clock on the mantel is broken. It is time. That's my voice. It is time. That's my voice. Jessie, come on, Celine said, heading down the hall. We've got to go. There's a problem. Give me a moment, Jessie replied. Celine nodded and left, and Jessie turned back to Renette. Are you okay? She asked. No, Renette admitted, but you and I both know, don't we, Jessie? The doctor is worth the monsters. Jessie nodded, and Renette turned to go, but she looked back at Jessie for a moment. Jessie Nightshade, that is not your only name, is it? Jessie stared at her for a moment, then slowly shook her head. No, it is not. Renette smiled. If the doctor is the doctor, then who are you? She smiled. Are you afraid of Big Bad Wolf, Renette? I fear I must be. Jessie grinned. I hope you never have to find out. Renette smiled. Goodbye, Bad Wolf. Jessie waved, and Renette ducked back under the tapestry, back to her world. Jessie ran down the hall and found the doctor and Celine hustling about. You found it, then? She asked. The doctor made a frustrated noise. They knew I was coming. They blocked it off. Jessie followed him to the bulkhead, seeing the Versailles ballroom now. Renette and Louise XV were being forced into the middle of the by Clockwork Men. I don't get it. How come they got in there? They teleported. You saw them. As long as the ship and the ballroom are linked, there's a short-range teleport will do the trick. Well, we'll go on the TARDIS, she suggested. We can't use the TARDIS, the doctor denied, shaking his head. We're part of events now. Can't we just smash through? Celine asked. Hyperplex this side, plate glass on the other. We need a truck. I'm having memories of a similar truck situation, Celine muttered, throwing a quick look at Jessie, who started. Sorry, fresh out of trucks. I know we don't have a truck. We've got to try something, Jessie insisted. No, the doctor replied, looking like he was torn on what to do. Smash the glass, smash the time window. There'd be no way back. Jessie swallowed, making a decision. Go. The two heads whipped towards her, and the doctor and Celine said in perfect unison, What? Go to her, she insisted, nodding to Renette. I get it. Preserve history. That's what needs to happen. If I go in there, there's no way back, the doctor told her. I couldn't return. Jessie stared him in the eye. Someone special told me recently that some things are worth the monsters. She nodded to the horse down the hall. Now go get her, doctor. Could everyone just calm down, please? Renette asked as they made it to the ballroom, looking around. I just have to delay, she thought. That's what Bad Wolf said. Such a commotion, she commented. Such distressing noise. Kindly remember that this is Versailles. This is the royal court, and we are French. I have made a decision, and my decision is no. I shall not be going with you today. She stared at the Clockwork Men. I have seen your world, and I have no desire to set foot there again. We do not require your feet, one of them told her. Renette let them push her down onto her knees, just a little longer. You think I fear you, but I do not fear you even now, she told them. You are merely the nightmare of my childhood, the monsters from under my bed, and if my nightmares can return to plague me, then rest assured, so will yours. As if on cue, the mirror above the mantelpiece shattered, and a white horse jumped through the shards as everyone darted away from it. The doctor grinned cheekily at Renette as he made the horse canter up, then dismounted. Madame de Pompadour, you look younger every day. What the hell is going on? Louise demanded. Renette smiled. Oh, this is my lover, the King of France. The doctor raised an eyebrow. Yeah? Well, I'm the Lord of Time, he retorted, and Renette couldn't help but smile a little bit more as Louise looked put off. And I'm here to fix the clock. He took the mask from the first clockwork man, which pointed its blade at his throat. Forget it, he said clearly. It's over for you and for me. Talk about 7 bad years' luck. Try 3,000. He nodded to the broken mirror. The link with the ship is broken. No way back. You don't have the parts. How many ticks left in that clockwork heart, huh? A day? An hour? It's over. If there's any of you left on that ship, I can tell you there's a worse nightmare that would take them out. The bad wolf is someone you do not want to make angry. Accept it. Neither of us are winding you up. The clockwork men powered down. The doctor turned to Renette as she watched in shock as one droid fell backwards and broke apart. He held out a hand to her silently. You all right? She took it and stood shakingly. What happened to them? They've stopped, he replied simply. They have no purpose now. The doctor stood at a tall window in the palace, looking up at the stars. He heard the swish of a dress behind him, and he turned to see Renette approach. A soft smile on her face as she carried with her 2 wine glasses. You know all their names, don't you? She asked, looking back at the stars. I saw that in your mind, the name of every star. The doctor looked back as well. What's in a name? He asked. Names are just titles. Titles don't tell you anything. Like the doctor, Renette pointed out. Like Madame de Pompadour, he countered. Like Bad Wolf. The doctor turned away when he said her name, still wondering why she had insisted that he came here. Was it really just history, or was there something to it? Renette didn't comment, but she joined him at his side. I have often wished to see those stars a little closer, she said. Just as you have, I think. He nodded, from time to time. And saving me, you trapped yourself here. Did you know that would happen? Renette asked. Was all he said, folding his arms. Pretty much. Yet you still came. Took a little persuasion, but yeah, I did, didn't I? He snorted. Catch me doing that again. There were many doors between my world and yours. Can you not use one of the others? He shook his head. When the mirror broke, the shock would have severed all the links with the ship. There'd be a few more broken mirrors and torn tapestries around here, I'm afraid. Wherever there was a time window. He looked at her. I'll pay for any damage, he grimaced. That's a thought. I'm going to have to need money. I'm always a bit vague about money. He looked at her. Where do you get money? Renette simply smiled and shook her head, handing him one of the glasses she carried. So, here you are, the lonely angel stuck on the slow path with me. Yep, the doctor confirmed, clinking glasses with her. Here's to the slow path. They drank, and the doctor swallowed the wine with ease. Renette looked back out the window. She reveals her name, but you do not reveal yours. The doctor looked at her sharply. What? You're Bad Wolf, Jessie. She told you that? I saw it in your mind, Doctor, Renette replied, looking at him. I saw that name. I know what she did for you. I saw what you feel for her. The doctor swallowed, and Renette smiled softly. And I know how she feels for you. The doctor shook his head. It could never happen. They all leave in the end, or they die. I told her years ago that one may tolerate a world of demons for the sake of an angel, Renette told him, smiling. In reply, she told me that some things are worth getting your heart broken for. The doctor closed his eyes, turning his head down. She told me to come, he managed to say. I didn't know why. It was like she was forcing herself to accept that if I went, I would be gone. Renette considered him, then spoke again. It's a pity. I think I would have enjoyed the slow path. Well, I'm not going anywhere, he commented. She raised an eyebrow. Oh, aren't you? She took a glass and put it on a small table nearby, then held out her hand. Take my hand. He did, and he followed her through the palace. She opened the door to a bedchamber, and his eyes widened when he saw the fireplace in the wall. It's not a copy, Renette explained, smiling at him. It's the original. I had it moved here and was exact in every detail. He slowly approached it, Renette staying in the doorway. The fireplace, he breathed. The fireplace from your bedroom. He turned to her. When did you do this? Many years ago, in the hope that a door once opened may someday open again. She nodded. One never quite knows when one needs one's doctor. It appears undamaged. Do you think it will still work? You broke the bond with the ship when you moved it, which means it was offline when the mirror broke. The doctor tried to explain, looking at the fireplace. That's what saved it, but the link is basically physical, and it's still physically here. Which might just mean, if I'm lucky, he began tapping the fireplace all over. If I'm very, 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 very lucky, he grinned when he found something. Aha! What, Renette? Renette asked where she stood. He grinned. Loose connection. He used a sonic screwdriver, then grinned, and stepped onto the fireplace. We need to get a man in. He whacked the mantle, then smiled at Renette. Wish me luck. Her face froze. No! She shut at the fireplace as the fireplace began to turn. He looked at her in confusion, but when the fireplace finished its rotation, he jumped off and looked into the fireplace. Madame de Pompadour. She ran across and ducked down to look at him as well. Still want to see those stars? He asked. More than anything, she agreed readily. He grinned at her. Give me 2 minutes. Pack a bag. Am I going somewhere? Go to the window, he encouraged her. Pick a star. Any star. Jessie looked up when she heard someone running through the spaceship that was definitely not Celine. She froze when she saw the doctor run in. Then she grinned and ran to him, giving him a huge hug when he returned. How long did you wait? He asked. Jessie shrugged. Oh, only 5.5 hours. Great, he replied, hugging Celine as well. Always wait 5.5 hours. Where have you been? Explain later. He turned to go, then looked to Celine. Into the TARDIS. Be with you in a sec. Celine went inside without hesitation, and the doctor held out a hand to Jessie. Come on. She stepped off the fireplace, looking around in the dark of the room. It's raining outside, she noted. Renette, the doctor called, looking around, then heading for the hallway. You there, Renette? Renette, Jessie called as well, then stopped when she saw the doctor had, looking at a man staring at a huge window. Oh, hi. You just missed her, the man said, turning to look at them. She'll be in Paris by 6. The doctor nodded meekly. Ah. The man took a closer look at them, and he inhaled. Good Lord, he whispered. She was right. She said you never looked a day older. So many years since I saw you last, but not a day of it on your face. He turned to Jessie then. And a bad wolf. When she knew you for only mere minutes, you became one of her closest friends. Jessie swallowed. How many years has it been? Over 6, Louis replied, walking over to a table and opening the drawer. She spoke of you many times, both of you, the lonely angel and the girl of many names, ready to fight the demons for him. Jessie blushed when the doctor looked at her inquisitively, but his attention was drawn back to Louis as he held out 2 letters to them. Then he looked out the window, when the sound of hooves clicking on stone caught their attention. There she goes. Jessie swallowed as the horse went off, and she put a hand over her mouth, realizing just when they were. 37, she breathed, over 6 years later. Leaving Versailles for the last time, Louis said in a mourning voice. Only 43 when she died. Jessie looked down, tears burning in her eyes. The doctor took her hand and gave it a squeeze, but he did not let go. Too young, too young. Illness took her in the end. She always did work too hard. Louis looked at them. What does she say? Jessie didn't answer. She turned on her heel and headed back for the fireplace room. She heard Louis say something else to the doctor, but she placed her hands on the mantel and waited for him to catch up. When he did and set the fireplace rotating, neither of them said anything. Then again, there wasn't a need to. Why her? Celine asked after they made it back. How did they think they could repair the ship with the head of Madame de Pompadour? The doctor shrugged half-heartedly. We'll probably never know. There is a massive damage in the computer memory bank. It probably got confused. The TARDIS can close down the time windows. Now the androids are gone. Should stop it causing any more trouble. Jessie looked at the doctor to see him stiff, as if he was in defense mode. Are you all right? She couldn't help but ask. He shot her a look. I'm always all right. She didn't look away, but Celine broke the tension. Come on, Jessie. It's time you showed me around the rest of the place. Jessie gave him a look that she hoped said, we're talking later, before leading Celine deeper into the TARDIS. The doctor breathed out, watching the 2 girls go. He unsealed the envelope inside of his jacket and looked at the letter. My dear doctor, the path has never seemed more slow, and yet I fear I am nearing its end. Reason tells me that you and I are unlikely to meet again, but I think I shall not listen to reason. I have seen the world inside your head, and I know that all things are possible. Should you return after I write this, do me one thing. A certain wolf that was very brave once told me that you are worth having a broken heart. Do not stray from her, my doctor. Do that for me. Hurry, though, my angel. My days grow shorter now, and I am so very weak. Godspeed, my lonely angel. Renette, Madame de Pompadour. The doctor closed the letter, swallowing. He looked at the scanner on the TARDIS to see a fire in the fireplace still going. I'll do it, he whispered in promise. I won't leave her again. The fire went out. Chapter 10. For Good. Celine burst back into the TARDIS, laughing as she spun around. Oh my God, that was so awesome! Jessie came in next, laughing as well, and finally the doctor, who was grinning as much as they were. June 10th, 2003, he crowed as they headed for the library. The first production of Wicked, starring Kristen Chenoweth and India Monzel. Brilliant! I still can't believe you had us impersonate bodyguards while you get to be the freaking Secretary of Defense, Jessie shouted at him. Oi, he cried back. It's not that. It was Ambassador something or other from London. Jessie rolled her eyes and entered the library with the doctor behind her. Yeah, sure She cut off when the library door slammed shut and locked with a click. Celine, she started banging on the door. What the hell? Oh no, Celine shouted back as the doctor ran over as well. You two are stewing in your own juices for a while until you work out whatever you need to. What? Jessie yelped as the doctor tried to use a sonic screwdriver on the doorknob, only to jerk his hand back when the TARDIS shocked him. See, she's on my side, Selita told them smugly. I don't know what happened on that ship besides Madame de What's-Her-Name, but work it out. And if you need either me or the TARDIS, we'll be in the console room, probably watching the two of you. Jessie growled and kicked the door in annoyance, wincing when she felt a dull throb in her head. I really hate her sometimes, she muttered, collapsing onto the couch. She's right, though, the doctor admitted, sitting down in the chair across from her. Something is up. What is it? Jessie crossed her legs underneath her. It wasn't 5.5 hours, she muttered. The doctor blinked. What? It wasn't 5.5 hours, she repeated, folding her arms around her protectively. It was a day and a half. The hour was 17:30. He looked at her in shock, and then something in his eyes flickered, from worry to anger. Why didn't you say that then? What was I supposed to say? She shrieked, holding her hands up. You got stuck in Madame de Pompadour's timeline after crashing through a time window, which I recall you telling me to do, the doctor interrupted. And then a day and a half later, you find your way back, then drag me back there to find out that she died, and we got the letter for both of us. She finished, glaring back at him. Did you open yours yet? The doctor asked. She shook her.
What is your problem?
How did he get out? Did you not close the door? She shook. Did you open yours yet? The doctor asked. No, she shook her head. I didn't, but that's not. It makes everything, Jessie, the doctor snapped. You don't just give people bad wolf. What did you talk to Renette about? Oh, so we're back to calling her Renette, Jessie muttered, looking back at the fireplace. Fantastic. What is it you have against her? The doctor asked. Nothing, Jessie replied quickly, standing up and pacing. I just wish I could have gone with you. Then why didn't you? Jessie stopped short, staring at nothing. I don't know, she whispered, truly wondering why she didn't. I really don't know. The doctor folded his arms, leaning back in his chair. Read the letter. You read yours? He nodded. What did it say? He looked right at her. Not to stray from the bad wolf girl who once said that it's worth getting your heart broken for. Jessie swallowed and sat back down on the couch. One may fight a world of demons for the sake of an angel, she whispered. The doctor nodded. Read it, he encouraged. The TARDIS lights blinked, and the envelope appeared on the table next to them. Jessie opened the envelope and pulled out the letter, beginning to read. Bad wolf girl. I now understand why you let the doctor return to me, even when you love him. You care for others and do not think often of yourself. Sometimes I wonder if I can do that much as well. But my time runs short, and I do not know if you or my angel will return. I have seen your world and know that it is incredible. But I grow weak. I can feel myself fade. I never live up to who you are in the doctor's eyes. He is happy with you, but something tells me that he is terrified to let you know. I have been inside his head, and I know that if he could, he would cling to you like a lifeline. Cling to him, Bad Wolf. Stay with him. You two need each other more than you know. I know the way you act. Hold on tight. Hurry, Bad Wolf girl. But if I am dead before you receive this, then no. But even though I knew you for a few moments, you changed me for good. For that, I could never repay you. Goodbye, my friend, and stay strong. Renette, Madame de Pompadour. Jessie? Jessie sniffed, wiping her eyes, forcing out a laugh. Maybe Renette had something to do with Wicked. It's funny. Right there? The doctor hesitated. If I give you mine, can I see yours? Jessie looked up sharply, then sighed. Yeah, guess it wouldn't hurt. She handed her letter over. Renette put it better than I ever could. The doctor handed her his letter in reply. She smiled as she read it over. I take everything that I said about her back. The woman really is incredible. The doctor nodded as he read hers. She really is. He handed her letter back and took his. So is the face of Beau. Makes no sense at all. Sometimes, but he is, Jessie agreed. She looked back at her letter and smirked. Maybe it was a good idea to see Wicked. Why? She smiled back at him. I think this really has all changed me. Is that good or bad? Jessie smiled wider. I've been changed for the better. The doctor grinned. Because I knew you, he quoted. I have been changed for good. Jessie nodded. Yep, that's me. I didn't say I was talking about you. She blinked as he sat down next to her. I wasn't ready to open up when I met you, he admitted. I didn't know if I could open up again. He playfully punched her in the arm. Who would have thought, huh? No, you with big ears just absolutely thrilled about talking about anything, she drawled. The doctor grinned at her. Oh, absolutely. She giggled and he grinned at her. But Renette told me something else that I was incredibly daft about. Oh, she asked, raising an eyebrow at him. Jessie Nightshade, I don't think I'd be able to survive without you. She shrieked in surprise that he finally said it, or at least some form of it, and before he could try and take it back, she reached up and whacked him on the back of the head. "About bloody time you said that." "What?" he sputtered. "You name one person who hasn't realized it, and I'll give you a medal," she told him with a grin. "And yes, that includes Jack Fitzsimmons, Colson, Celine, Renette." She took a deep breath to keep on going before she realized the doctor had his eyebrows raised at her, and she blushed. "What?" He grinned simply and shook his head. "Jessie Nightshade, you are impossible." She grinned back and leaned her head on his shoulder. "So are you." When he finally gave her a bone-crushing hug, she gave no complaint, and of course neither of them noticed when Celine and the TARDIS unlocked the library door again. Okay, so that was 9 and 10. Yeah. Alrighty, peace out, Knights.